primarily on domestic abuse, but they also do something about human trafficking. The lady I've been speaking with today, she actually understands a bit of the dynamics. There's a bunch of stuff she doesn't know or doesn't understand. So she's either new to helping males or she's new to jumping through the hoops, but she's actually looking at options, which is badass. I got a bit of a homework assignment for tonight, and I'm, of course, scouting for snipes as always. I was able to get some food. They probably would have given me a lot more, but I made sure I got the essentials. Stuff that, since I can't cook, and since I don't have teeth, stuff that's soft and something that's not going to go bad quickly. No refrigerator either. So I got a bit of emergency food for in case of emergencies. And that includes more than just water. Water is good, water is important, but it's important also to intake something else with your water. If you drink just water, it'll make you sick and it'll flush out all your nutrients. And you don't want to do that. Oh, thanks. United States Postal Service guy just... Well, he ran the light, but who cares? I looked back and it was green when I looked back, so close enough, right? Anyway, the lady's going to be learning on a pretty steep learning curve. She does have a lot of other people that she has to deal with. I don't mean deal with as in deal with. I mean, there's a lot of people with a lot of different problems, and, well, all of them need help. Well, this is a very strange sign. Drugs. I would imagine this used to be a drugstore. What do you think? Anyway, she's already understanding of the fact that this is a monumental task. It is a battle of epic proportions. Quite mammoth indeed. So obviously the difficulty will be letting her know about all of the subtle ins and outs of this bullshit. Depending on how much time they have. Also, she's able to understand when I'm having a panic attack, it's not a choice. And also that some of my reactions that I might have, if I have a panic attack or a trauma response, it's not that she's pushing for it or asking for it. She just may not be aware. And that's something that, well, a lot of you that pull the snowflake BS, you know who you are. Everybody must be a snowflake but you. You know those guys. The ones who make fun of us autistic folks and call us snowflakes. The ones who pretend like we're mentally retarded because we're different. But different don't mean retarded. Kind of like wired differently doesn't mean our wires are crossed. We do get treated that way. Not all of us. There's a few autistic folks that have gotten a hold of me to let me know that their lives are seemingly perfect. Well, very cool. I'm glad you got it that way. I'm glad somebody's got it that way, you know? I mean, they kind of did it not as a rub it in thing, but oh, well, if my life is perfect, yours should be too thing. But, you know, in either a case or either event, I can be glad that they're not going through this. But there's also, you know me, even though I don't want people to go through this, well, there are times where I will straight up get on here and say, I wish that they would. I wish that they had these experiences. Because then their opinions would be quite different. And if their opinions were quite different from first-hand experience instead of, well, wives' tales and mythology you learned from your granddaddy. Anyway, tomorrow I've got another appointment, and I also got a homework assignment, so I'm going to get my homework assignment done. Oh, that is so cool. There's a little buggy out here. I want one. Anyway, I tried to get her to understand that there's a really important thing about the amount of time that I have to get this stuff done. And I think I'm going to try to impress that a little bit upon her tomorrow too, which she already gets it, I think. She's already starting to understand. Today, when I went in, I was having a panic attack when I went in, only in part because I couldn't find the place. But yeah, she didn't treat me like I was a bloomin' idiot. She understood that it is a trauma response. I didn't get to show her any of the stuff that I wanted to show her, and she said she didn't want to make me have to go through that more than once because it's traumatic. And I didn't even have to volunteer that information to her. She's at least got some professional training, which is what nearly everybody in Nebraska seemed to lack. Even the ones that are verified to have that training, I mean, their position means that they have that training. If they didn't have that training, they wouldn't have that title that they hold. But of course, a lot of those people in Nebraska ended up playing stupid, whereas this lady here seems to be trying to do her job. Also, it's a confidential thing, so yeah, they only give out my personal information if I tell them to or let them. Oh my God, yes, I just seen me a bumper sticker that we got to take a picture of. Right there, folks, right there. Matter of fact, I'm gonna take a screenshot of that. I'm not gonna tell you what the license plate says, but yeah, that's basically my day, I guess. Got some stuff going today. We'll get some more stuff going tomorrow. Inch by inch, it's all a cinch. Many hands make for light work and all that. If we get people to work together instead of everybody saying, oh, well, it's somebody else's job, that's where a lot of the victims end up having to take it for years, is that people don't coordinate. That coordination is what's key. That's what I've been trying to push since day one. That's what I tried to push the whole time I was homeless in Boulder. We work together or we get nothing. So then we end up with 30 people who are victimized into homelessness that are all sitting around like it's an AA meeting bitching about how their lives suck because they were victimized to the point of homelessness. Meanwhile, they don't work together because all of them are too afraid to. So they just each other. They trade shitty stories about how much their lives suck or about how much they're feeling sorry for themselves because they have somebody else who thinks less of them. And well, those people think less of you for a reason. Just because somebody thinks less of you doesn't mean that they don't love you, though. There's a lot of people in my life that did messed up stuff. They were screwed up on meth or screwed up on heroin. But that doesn't mean that I don't love them. I've had many people yell at me about things that never happened just because they wanted to assume. You know, that hurt me to no end. It still hurts me that they do that. But you know what? It doesn't make me stop loving them. With Alicia, all the horrible stuff that she put me through, when she disappeared on 3 separate occasions, Bobby Forrest got a hold of me to let me know she was disappeared. Yes, I knew she was a drug addict, and yes, I still tried to help find her. You don't even have to like somebody to love them, and I assure you of that. I don't like my mother. She's not a good person. But I do love her. She's still a human being, and I do have to search hard for the good qualities in her, but she still has them. And that's one of the things about me being a survivor is that, yes, I have to understand and know my limitations as well as other people's limitations and their history. I can still forgive them, I can still love them, but I know better than to go back to those people. And I do want to focus primarily on the kids. My story is important, but my evidence is more important. My evidence is not just my story, but many others. This lady here has to sign a bunch of paperwork and get a bunch of permission to be able to do stuff. That's one of the things about needing a civilian to do this. I feel bad for most of the people at most of these agencies because a lot of them, they get sick and tired of telling people they can't help when somebody's being victimized. The folks here seem to understand that when it comes to housing and also turning in your predators, they actually become one and the same. There's a lot of stuff that you're limited on and unable to do, incapable of doing, or limited in your ability to do so because of homelessness. Not to mention the bias against us. And some folks tell me stuff like, you know, Sean, you shouldn't compare yourself to others. You shouldn't compare your situation to others, or you shouldn't get involved. All of those are dead wrong. I've been finding missing people for a lot of years. One of the first ones that I ever helped to find was my little sister Tara. Now, some of the stories that I heard about my little sister include her being choked out or having her head bashed in. Tara said that she didn't get her head bashed in. It's a good thing. When my little sister went missing, I drove to Nebraska to help find her. Nobody knew where she was at. Thank goodness we were able to find her. There's a lot of other people that I helped to find that weren't so lucky. There's a lot of other people that weren't as lucky as my niece. They didn't get their family member back. There's a lot of people who aren't as lucky as, well, Rose Kelly. She got Alicia back. Sort of. I need someone to actually look at the evidence. Now, to some degree, you know, her saying, well, I don't want to make you look at it more than once. You know what? It has to be done. You need to know. Not believe. Believing me isn't good enough. It's never been good enough. You have to look at the evidence. You have to know I'm telling the truth. If you know I'm telling the truth, you might fight. If you believe, well, if you just believe, then you lose faith. Knowledge lasts a little longer than that. If you think or you believe you know how to set somebody's bone after they've broken it, and you believe you know how to set up an emergency cot to carry him out of there, well, when it comes time to do it, you might come to realize you have no fucking clue what you're doing. You still try. I mean, you give her the old college try, and that's all you can do in that situation because you don't have the education. And I do have to applaud you for trying in that situation, and you may yet succeed. But you can walk into that situation with confidence if you already know how to set somebody's broken leg. You already know how to set up an emergency cot, and you already know how to get the hell out of there, find your way out of there, and get that person somewhere safe, somewhere where they, of course, aren't going to end up getting a fever, because if you leave a cracked bone unset, you're running into chances of marrow becoming separated and getting all up in your blood vessels and getting all up in your brain and giving you all sorts of problems you don't want. There's a big difference between belief and knowledge. Knowledge often comes after the fact. Back in the 1700s, most people believed that powered flight was not possible, which is funny because they already had hang gliders by then. But, of course, we had powered flight in 1903, didn't we? Kitty Hawk. Your beliefs, they're not exactly the same as faith either. See, faith in yourself, that is a type of belief. The Wright brothers, they tested their stuff and they knew that it was possible. They knew they had a winning combination. I think they should have gone with the Manly Balzer engine instead of the Wright brothers' own engine, because it was god-awful heavy. It used a new contraption, a new type of metal called aluminium to the British. And the Wright brothers' engine still weighed 209 pounds. It was a heavy sumbitch. The Manly Balzer engine was less than 70 pounds with everything attached to it. And it was 50 horsepower. That was a lot more horsepower than what the Wright brothers got. 12 horsepower. 12 horsepower. That's right. That's all the more the first airplane to take off had. And it had a 209-pound engine. It had enough room for less than a liter of gasoline. It was made out of sticks and bed sheets and piano wire. They had belief in their abilities. They had belief in their understanding. All of that based on their education, and that education is knowledge. So their beliefs and their faith were not misplaced because they were placed very securely in knowledge. I don't want anybody to believe blindly. If you do believe blindly only long enough to look for yourself. Only enough to have faith that you should look before making a decision. Because as it stands, you are blind. Your decision-making abilities are blind because you're not making those decisions based on evidence. And those of you who are trying to base it on small pieces of evidence that you were shown, why is it that they only showed you that part? How much of the evidence have you seen, and why didn't you bother to take a look at both sides? Just like why didn't the cops bother to take a look at both sides? And that's why these folks here and doing something about human trafficking is so important. It's not just me, and I understand that the women are the ones you care about more so than I. Well, I care about them too, and the kids as well. They're not the only ones I focus on, though. No victim left behind means it doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter your gender. It doesn't matter your skin color. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. Equality means equality, and every victim deserves that. Everybody who's accused deserves an honest day in court, in my personal opinion. But ain't no such thing as an honest day in court, is there? Your day in court is as honest as your American dollar. How many do you have? Oh, you only have 200 George Washingtons to your name. Well, you're not very honest. Oh, you've got a whole bunch of Benjamins. You've got tens of thousands of Benjamins. You must be a really honest person. God, the way people's brains don't work. Anyway, I got some stuff to do tonight. I'm going to go back to the skate park, and now that I know I have until 1 o'clock tomorrow, I can go back to the skate park and screw around if I want in the morning for a bit, and I can get to working on my project. Also, the skate park is open until 10, and it's 4:07. There's a meal that's going on from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and I should probably go to that. Oh my God, these are so good. I have not had one of these in years. This is a Kool-Aid jammer. Tastes like aspartame. It probably has high fructose corn syrup in it. Oh, it doesn't say. Alright, well, we'll set it off to the side. Oh my God, put a bowling ball at the end of that. I'll make some money. Alright, so, I also got a big pink bag. When you go to some of these places, they like to give you something discreet to walk out with. Well, this place primarily helps out women's stuff. The bag that I got says ample and alluring larger ladies apparel. So it's got food in it though. It doesn't have larger ladies apparels in it. Although if there's ever a time where I need larger ladies apparels, that's what I'll get. For the time being, yes, my ladies' shoe size is a little bit larger. I don't wear ladies' shoes. That's not out of any disrespect for ladies' shoes. It's easier for me to remember what size I am in male shoes. I'm not afraid of wearing pink. I am afraid of wearing high heels. I've done so. It's uncomfy. I use the word sexy completely out of context when I say there's nothing sexier than sensible shoes. Because, really, it's not a sex thing. It's a... Well, she's not wearing high heels, so she must not be an idiot. When you've worn high heels, you know how stupid it is to wear them. How god-awful uncomfortable it is, just for a few extra inches. The things I want to say about that few extra inches. Anyway, the point is, it is extremely important to get the evidence turned into who it needs to get turned into. When I called this lady, she wants to focus on a few things that she's able to and allowed to that ought to be pretty easy. And then there's also the fact that if I can swing it, hopefully we'll be able to do both, because both need to be done. I can't just hope for no reason. The times that I just hope that something good would come of just the housing thing, it ended up not. Because once you have housing, then people forget about all the rest of it. Like once I got housing in Chapel, people thought, oh, well, that must mean that everybody in Chapel's just going to leave them alone. No, that's not what it means. I still have to go out. What, you want me to be a shut-in in Chapel, fucking Nebraska? Not go anywhere, not make any noise, just disappear into that fucking low-income apartment? Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. My predators in Chapel, Nebraska that I needed to turn in all the way back in 2018, well, I still need to turn them in, and I needed to be taken seriously. I need to not have to go turn those crimes in to officers who know that I'm trying to turn them in. They're not going to do their job. They have no incentive to do their job. Matter of fact, they have every incentive not to do their job. If they do their job, and I am right, then it lends ear to the things that I say. And if it lends ear to the things that I say, that includes the things that I said about them. No, they're not going to help me. Nebraska State Patrol forcing me to go to them, when at that point in time it was their job to take over that investigation. And of course, even though they told me that it's not their job, we get to see time and again, even in cases in Dual County, Nebraska, with people like Polly Olson, who are a part of my stories for a reason, you get to see that the Nebraska State Patrol does get involved, that it is the Nebraska State Patrol's job, and it is not only immoral, it is illegal for them to force me to do that to Scott DaCosta. If you were trying to turn in, let's say you're raped by your dad, is it okay for all these agencies to tell you that you have to turn it into your dad? I'm just saying. Anyway, you know how we end these videos. Good to be with you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper, and no victim left behind. Amen.